We get it. After you've been in an accident, you deserve clear, risk-free advice to help get you back on your feet. You deserve an advocate.
This is the Monty Show, the truth in sports talk streaming. When you want unbiased opinions about your favorite team without the spin, all you have to do is find the Monty Show, streaming live and available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on YouTube. And now, here's Monty.
Hey, Monty. The Monty Show live on your YouTube machine. Happy Tuesday, my friends. As always, we are presented by the good people at The Advocates, theadvocates.com, the best injury attorneys in the business. And boy, I'll tell you, it's really gratifying to hear great experiences from the people who watch this show when they unfortunately needed an injury attorney. The Advocates took care of them, and that is exactly what I want to leave with you when I talk about The Advocates. You're going to get the best advice from people who use empathy. They understand how you feel because they've been there. There's no case, there's no scenario they haven't seen in their decades of experience at The Advocates. If you're asking yourself right now today, do I need an attorney? The answer is, yeah, you probably do. Get to theadvocates.com where you can chat with an injury attorney live online, and it won't cost you a dime, so you never pay The Advocates unless and until they win your case at theadvocates.com. Good morning. A crazy day in sports yesterday. We have got to get to this Shohei Ohtani story. Do you believe him?
No.
I think that is the resounding result of the Shohei Ohtani press conference yesterday, which was shocking. This Jontay Porter situation coming out of the Toronto Raptors. We have got a lot to talk about with that. Obviously, last night, Caitlin Clark teetering on the verge of losing in the NCAA tournament and ending her marvelous career at Iowa, but it was not to be. She wins her final home game. The Iowa Hawkeyes are on to the Sweet 16. And then we have Deontay Carter leading off the show with a $10 tip this morning. Okay. Good morning, Deontay. He says, hey, Monty. Good morning, everyone. Enjoying my grad school spring break at Disney World. Let's go. With my little kings. Hopefully a good showgram. Appreciate you, Deontay.
What do you mean, hopefully a good showgram, sir? You know it's a good showgram every single day.
Stay hard.
Duh.
Hopefully.
Duh. Hope you enjoy that. First one in this morning is Jizzmaster Flash, Mike Smith. Hello. Oh, no. Mike Smith says out of town for a doctor's visit. Thankfully, nothing serious, but still wind up missing the show again. Dude, hope you're well, man.
Yeah.
Hope you're well. Thank you to everybody who is here this morning to talk about the Pac-2. Did the Pac-2 and the Pac-12, as we know it today, ultimately win yesterday? Now, you might have heard the ridiculousness out there that, the Pac-2 is going to get hundreds of millions of dollars. We told you that was not happening. In fact, after the agreement that was solidified yesterday, pen to paper, the Pac-2 will get $65 million from the exiting 10 members, and now we'll be able to move forward. I believe that this is a win. Is it the $100 million we had heard about? Is it the wild, I'm an idiot podcast host, they're going to get $350 million? It's not. It is certainly not. But what this represents is a future that can be had for the Pac-2. That's what we call a win. With how close this conference was to oblivion, with how close the Pac-12 was to not being in existence any longer, with how bad Oregon State and Washington State found themselves just, inexplicably in no man's land, to now be able to take $65 million and move on with your relationship with the Mountain West, I think is an unequivocal win. Now, the reality is you've got to give the Mountain West $25 million for your scheduling arrangement. So now your, $65 million is $40 million, but you'll take that. You'll take that because you own the brand, you own the media rights, and you have freed yourself from those 10 Jake, I don't think there's any other way to spin it other than to say that is a win.
Absolutely. And I think that, for these two schools, you've secured your future on some level. I mean, you at least are now in a place where, you can start moving on to the Mountain West side of the conversation. You can start moving on to, how do we get to a better place in the long term? How do we get to, competing for the college football playoff spots that are now somewhat available to us? Because I think that's the other side of this conversation that nobody in Washington State or Oregon State land wants to talk about, which is you do have access. And the Mountain West, while it is a great conference, is not nearly as good as the Pac-12 that we knew was. And so if I'm these two schools, I'm looking at this and I'm saying, okay, great. So now we finally moved on from, all the court proceedings and this negotiation with the schools who left, and all that nonsense is now behind us, right? We understand the money we have. We understand the money that's got to go to the Mountain West for the scheduling alliance. And now we can get on to progressing into the future. And frankly, for Washington State, getting on to the business of figuring out how exactly you're going to fix this athletic department budget situation that you're still dealing with, which would be that you're running, by most people's estimates, at a $70 million deficit. So that's what I think is fascinating about this situation, because if schools like Washington State and Oregon State can find their way into just one college football playoff spot, every couple of years. I'm not even saying they're an every year team. I'm not saying that, magic's going to happen. But if you can just find your way in once every 5 years, you're going to be fine for a long time. That's more than enough money for you to survive. So I'm not really here for the Cry Me a River stuff today with, Oregon State and Washington State fan. I think you're in a not the worst spot you could be, but I certainly think that you have a path forward. It's not ideal, but you have a path forward.
But I think you have to take that as a win. I think in this scenario, that's a win, because if you're Oregon State and Washington State, it was not an option to lose control of this conference, because where were you going to go? I mean, you could not find a home in either the Big 12 or the Big 10. The ACC, it seems like, was never really an option, although I guess had you lost control of the conference, maybe it would have developed. But this is the best case scenario. And I think when we talk about the positivity here and we talk about the ultimate positive outcome, this is it. You were never getting the pie in the sky, hundreds of millions of dollars. That was never going to happen. We've been telling you on this show since October. There was never a scenario where the remaining members of the Pac-12, Oregon State and Washington State, were walking away with hundreds of millions of dollars. That was not going to happen. And if you look at the filings in the agreement, John Wilner posted this on his Twitter feed. And if you don't follow John, you really should. San Jose Mercury News and many others. You see that these are the financial arrangements. And what you see here is that there is an initial 50 and then another 1.5 million. And if you do the math, 1.5 million times 10 is $15 million for a total of $65 million. And essentially what you have here is the exiting 10 members can vote on anything that impacts the conference up and until the fiscal year 2024 comes to an end, which is basically June 30th. And after that point, the exiting 10 members have no right to monetary claims. They have no right to vote on anything that has to do with the future direction and course of the Pac-12. This simply was a divorce, and this is the financial settlement of that divorce. And I think, again, it's why I say this is the best outcome for the Pac-2. And I think that the bigger question now is, can the Pac-12 as a brand and a conference survive? You've done the pragmatic things. You have fired George Kliavkoff. You have, basically what you have done is you have set a course forward. You are going to have to settle litigation. I think that's still hanging out there. And again, the people that want to tell you they're getting $300 million, they're not. And this litigation, as they said, well, the conference is going away, so those litigations go away. They do not. They are keeping the conference intact. The brand lives on. Those filings and those lawsuits have to be settled. So there is some bidding to be done. The Holiday Bowl is probably the most prominent one. And UCLA is involved in that. And the exiting 10 members are involved in that. And they are going to probably have to pay their bid on that unless somehow it gets settled or dropped or whatever the eventuality is.
Right.
The likelihood is you're going to come to a settlement because you have got to get all past business handled. You've got to get that cleared out.
And I think that, the getting through all that nonsense, all that, we'll just call it like red tape, if you will, all this stuff that's, sort of needs to just be handled so you can get on to, what your future is going to look like. I think, that they need to finish that, and they will. And I think it's important for, Oregon State and Washington State to get the 10 who are leaving to pay for as much of that as possible. That's got to be your strategy. And obviously, like you said, when it comes to like stuff like the Holiday Bowl, of course, the 10 who left are going to be responsible.
You're contractually obligated to it.
So it's not like they got to get them to pay for stuff. They're contractually obligated. So I just think that the narrative shouldn't be, oh man, like, the Pac-2, won or didn't win or this or that. It just simply is, hey, this process is played out now. They got about what everyone thought they would get.
Yeah.
And now it's time to figure out, okay, what's the best future they can create? Because yeah, the Mountain West is a good spot. I think you could do a lot worse than the Mountain West. I mean, it's a solid conference, but I think when it comes to the Pac-12 as a brand surviving, that's where it gets kind of tough because you don't have a way to get the brand out there. You obviously don't have a TV deal, of course. You don't have something that could really catapult you forward. And so that's why when it comes to like the tournament, as an example, this year, that's why it was so important for the Pac-12 to do well in the tournament, because all that money goes to these two.
Well, and I also think you have to remember that you have 2 years to figure this out now. You have a scheduling alliance in football and basketball that basically makes your life a lot easier. And I think you have 2 years to try and build something that either is a merger or my guess is you just bide your time and you try to make an opportunity when the ACC melts down, or you try to make an opportunity, to put something together with the Mountain West that can get you a seat at the table.
Right.
Because for the next 2 years, all you have to do is be one of the top 12 teams in the country. Oregon State is certainly capable of that, although you've had significant personnel changes there. We'll see. But I think Washington State showed you they can compete in basketball every single night. So they're going to have access to the NCAA tournament. I think the biggest question is what happens in the next round of realignment with the Pac-2, because these two remaining institutions now are hanging on to the Pac-12 because that's all they've got to hang on to. But you can't tell me if the Big 12, the SEC, the Big 10, somehow, some way are like, well, now we got to add Oregon State and Washington State. If the phone rings, you're answering.
Right.
There is no question about that. I do not believe that there is a home for Oregon State or Washington State in the Big 10. We reported first and exclusively now what everybody else has reported, that Scott Barnes called everybody and their brother at the Big 10 trying to get a conversation, and he could not get a conversation. He tried and tried and tried, could not. Made every single effort to get Oregon State into the Big 12 and could not move the needle.
Yeah.
Because I think last fall, there wasn't a conference that was willing to go to 20 so readily. There wasn't a conference that was like, the Big 12 certainly wanted nothing to do with 20 last fall. And I totally understand that.
Well, and I think when you look at the negotiations that have gone on with the college football playoff and this conversation around ESPN and the TV contracts, like being at 20 doesn't really help anybody. I'm not going to say it hurts you, but it definitely doesn't help you. And I think it certainly adds a ton more work to your scheduling and trying to figure out
just the logistics in general. And I think this is also part and parcel of the UConn conundrum. Nobody wants to pay for UConn football because UConn football does not make money for your conference. It is a loss leader. There is no doubt about that. Now, would you love to have, Mr. Hurley and his UConn men's basketball program? Would you love to have the Lady Huskies in your program, in your conference? Absolutely, you would. There's no doubt. But at what cost, right? So there's no doubt, as we again reported last fall, UConn and the Big 12 had extensive conversations. They were never able to figure out a financial framework of how to make that work. The big question is, what is going to be the tipping point of having Gonzaga join the conference? Because you don't have to worry about subsidizing financially with Gonzaga. They don't have a football program, and their other sports are fantastic. Gonzaga is a very good athletic department without football, which I think in a lot of scenarios is a win for the Big 12, simply because this team's in the Sweet 16 again.
Yeah.
And it's not a fluke. And I think you're looking at a situation where it's simply a matter of finding a way to make the numbers work. If you are Gonzaga, what are you sacrificing to join the Big 12, a major conference? Because you're not a fit in the SEC. That's just not going to happen, right? But are you a fit in the Big 10? I don't think they are. I think if you are Gonzaga, you've got to find a way to make yourself feel good with the money and the numbers, good with the access of joining the Big 12. Because at some point, I think financially it is going to become difficult for them to stay in the WCC. Because as I say in this world, every single day, we tend to obsess with how much money we are making. And you absolutely need to know how much money you're making. But more than that, you need to know how much money you're not making.
Mm-hmm.
You need to understand how much money you're not making. How much money is Gonzaga not making by not being in the Big 12? That's the question. That'll be the tipping point. Because the math in the WCC is pretty simple. You're not making as much as you feel like you should. But there's joining the Big 12 let's say you join as a basketball only. Does that make you the money you feel like you're deserved? Who are you, San Diego State? Is that the pro rata you deserve? Does that make you the money you deserve?
Huh?
I don't know.
I definitely think it makes the Big 12 head and shoulders the best basketball conference if Gonzaga's in there. I just don't know how it wouldn't be. And
I also think that is a very big question for the Big 12, because again, as we reported yesterday, and now several other people have picked it up, Duke in the Big 12. I think that is a marriage that the Big 12 would very much like to make. I do not have an indication that Duke would like to, but there is no doubt that Brett Yormark in the Big 12 are chasing Duke. There's just no question about that. And if you can get Duke, if you can get Louisville, if you can get, I think Virginia would be somebody that would be very difficult for the Big 12 to get, but they would love to add Virginia. If you can add those brands and you can add Gonzaga, you are the premier basketball league in this country, which again, and I'll continue to say it, and I hope that at some point we get credit for it. We probably won't. But as I've told you since day one, Brett Yormark's simple goal is to create two business behemoths, football and basketball. Brett Yormark wants a business unit in basketball that powers the Big 12. And basketball to the Big 12 is simply another revenue stream, and it's a big one. If you are the SEC, basketball's an afterthought. If you're the Big 10, look at their results. Basketball's an afterthought. If you are the Big 12, if you are the ACC, basketball is the priority. It is not an afterthought. It is the priority, because you can't compete at the top of the table in football. And I think with some one-offs and some occasional success, TCU, Florida State, Clemson occasionally, outside of that, are you really competing week in and week out, season in and season out at the top of the college football world? Currently, you are not. Now, can you get there? Of course you can. And I think expansion and realignment can help you do that. But the inevitable truth is the Big 12 and the ACC, as long as it exists, have to be prolific basketball conferences. And right now, the two are by far the best basketball conferences in the country. You look at the success the ACC has had in the tournament this year, it's undeniable. You look at the best teams in the country, and I'll continue to carry the flag for Iowa State basketball, but you look at what's going on in the Big 12, and it is unequivocally right now the best basketball conference in the country. And I continue to hear, and I'll continue to say, Brett Yormark has his eyes set very near the top of the ACC table, and I believe that he is doing everything he can do to open up lines of communication, to add Duke to the Big 12 if they become available and if the ACC melts down, and I don't see why you wouldn't do it.
Yeah, and I think it's that's the type of behavior you need to be having right now. I mean, I think that, you know, you would be naive if you're Brett Yormark to think that the other commissioners aren't doing the exact same thing. And I think that the Big 12 is and has shown an elite ability with Brett Yormark to go out and get partnerships done. And I think that, you know, this Duke situation, I think is a really good one for the Big 12. I think, you know, you look at the possibilities, you know, Duke and Gonzaga going to the same conference, I think is a recipe for success. No question about it. And I'm telling you, all of this stems from the concept of, you know, hey, if we're going to on some level accept the fact that we're not a prolific football conference, we're a good football conference, but we're not like the best in the land. And so because of that, we need to be the best in the land in basketball. That's where all this is coming from. And I think basketball kind of provides that foundation. It says, hey, you know, if Texas Tech cannot make a fool of themselves on the basketball court, if Baylor would actually beat somebody they should beat in Clemson, we're in a great spot right now. And we've added Arizona basketball for next year, right? Like Colorado,
Utah.
Like, so you start to see that, hey, maybe they don't have Duke and UNC and like these major nameplates, but you know, they do have Houston. They do have these other schools that are there.
I also go back to what the ultimate end goal here is. And the ultimate end goal here is to create a continental basketball power where in North America, and I think you have to put Mexico in this conversation, as much as I know a lot of people think that the Mexico contest for the Big 12 is, you know, laughable or a joke or an afterthought. It's truly not. Brett Yormark wants to own North America for college basketball. And going to Mexico City and going to Monterrey is a big part of that.
Yeah.
And I think that when you look at the way that Brett Yormark is building, does he have a legitimate shot to get Duke? Probably not. Does he have any shot, a legitimate shot to get Virginia? Probably not.
But I think that that's what we're saying now. I mean, imagine, because again, it's all about the circumstances. So if the ACC is melting down and there's chaos and teams are looking for stability, the big boys in the ACC are obviously going to be fine. They obviously understand, hey, we're going to wind up somewhere. What's the best case scenario? Yeah. So if that's the situation 2 years from now, and Brett Yormark has spent the last 2 years courting Duke and they have a great relationship, you can't tell me that doesn't help his chances. I mean, it has to.
I think that Duke and Carolina are very interesting pawns in the ACC situation, because when does the next break the grant of rights guy step up? When's the next lawsuit? When's the next voice to be heard? Bubba Cunningham is not a guy that sits on the sidelines and watches. And the athletic director at Carolina. Yeah. I think that at some point they've got to get off the bench and get on the field and start playing the game.
But I think UNC and Bubba Cunningham are uniquely aware that you can't just go public with this stuff. That doesn't work. You've seen it twice.
These are all these moves are about opening back channel conversations.
But my point with UNC,
there's no doubt about that.
They're smarter than the folks at Florida State and Clemson, with all due respect. They understand, hey, if we're going to make a move, it needs to be like Carol Folt at USC. It needs to be, nobody knows this is coming, but we know it's coming, and 8 to 10 other schools know it's coming, and we're going to roll it out as soon as we have the support. And that's how it's going to happen. I'm telling you.
I'm really interested to see what North Carolina values. What does UNC value? Is it money or is it prominence? Because I think if you go to the Big Ten, you're going to get a windfall. There's no doubt about that. You're going in as a full share member. You're not coming in at a discount.
Right.
I don't think there's any doubt about that. But if you go to the Big Ten, are you not the basketball power of the Big Ten? I think if you can get $100 million a year and you immediately install yourself as the premier basketball brand of the Big Ten.
If you're UNC?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you're UNC, you're the best basketball team in the Big Ten. And I think
is that worth more than being the best basketball team in the Big 12?
Yeah. It is.
I think it is.
Absolutely is. And I think that
I think it is.
I think that a cherry on top of that thought is that and again, the Big Ten obviously has added these schools from the Pac-12, so the conference got better on the football field. I think everybody agrees with that. But But even at UNC with their football program, like they would still be, in my opinion, a top half team. They probably wouldn't contend to win that conference. But I do think like if you go, so if you go, let's just say Ohio State, Oregon, we'll throw Michigan in there just to be nice. And let's say Penn State just to be nice. Okay. Those are the top quarter. UNC is going to be right there in that second cut. And UNC in the Big Ten would absolutely contend to get into the college football playoff on the back
I would
end.
agree with that. I would agree with that.
So for them, like, yeah, the Big Ten makes a ton of sense. You're gonna be the best team in basketball, and you're gonna make some money in football. I don't know why you wouldn't do that. And that's why I say for the Big 12, you got to take a run at Duke. You have to, because at that point, if you can get Duke, you can get Gonzaga.
But if you're the Big 12, aren't you trying to get both and you're offering them unequal revenue?
Probably, yeah. Yeah,
I think there's just no way to get around that.
I think if you're the Big 12, you got to find a way to get a nameplate that's respected nationally, like Duke or like somebody on that level, because you don't have that right now. Like all my people in the comments section yesterday talking about, oh well, Texas and Oklahoma, and you said Texas is the biggest school.
Yeah, can you stop pissing off Oklahoma fans?
Oklahoma fan, you need to know your place. This is not a numbers
That's
conversation.
That's not how I would go about not pissing off Oklahoma.
Well, this is how I'm going about it. This is not a numbers conversation. This is a brand recognition conversation. Texas is why you got into the SEC. Yep. Let's be very clear. The SEC didn't add Texas or didn't add you without Texas. And by the way, Texas has been the face of that conference for how long? Has Oklahoma had success? Did Lincoln Riley do great things? Do you have an absolute keg of Heisman trophies in that conference? Yes. Yes, you do. Yeah. Absolutely. 100%. I'm not saying Oklahoma sucks. What I'm saying is that from a business standpoint, from a revenue standpoint, Texas was the top dog in that conference, whether they won or didn't win. Because when they weren't winning, everybody loved it. And when they were winning, everybody hated it, which means they were making money either way.
Listen, I think there is a lot to be hashed out here. We're the cart is not ahead of the horse. It's like 5 miles down the road.
Yeah.
The horse ain't got to the cart yet, right? So I think when we look at what the Big 12 is doing, I think certainly there is a lot of interest on the side of the Pac-2 here as to what's going to happen with the ACC, because again, the statements that Kirk Schultz and Oregon State and Washington State and the conference on the whole put out yesterday were all about our student athletes competing at the highest level. So that's their focus. Are Oregon State and Washington State good fits in the Big 12? I don't know. Is this a league that wants 24 teams? I don't think so. I don't. Would you rather have Louisville or Oregon State? I'd rather have Louisville.
Right now, you'd rather have Louisville.
Would you rather have, I don't know, who's a Pitt or Washington State? I'd rather have Pitt because I've got Pitt, West Virginia all day long. And it's an awfully difficult argument to make. And I'm struggling to understand. I'm struggling to understand the value of Washington State and Oregon State in today's climate.
And why is
here
that?
On the 26th of March? Because I don't think they bring much value to the Big 12 today.
And why is that?
Because they haven't won on the field. You're exactly right. And they don't bring money.
And you know what the sad part is? Oregon State actually was winning on the field. Like they didn't win college football playoff games, but they were a problem in the Pac-12. Like you went to Corvallis, it was over for you. You were done. Like Reeser, that stadium at night, especially on a Friday, it's over for you. You're not winning there. And I think that's, it's great, but it's also part of the problem. Like, I hate to say this, but Oregon State, like, if you're going to get over, you have to be at least getting into the playoff. Like, and I know, you haven't seen a 12-team format yet. Obviously, it's only been 4 teams to this point. So it's been incredibly difficult. I'm not saying that you should have expected to get in, but I think when you're Oregon State or brand on Oregon State's level, that's what you have to do.
Yeah, I think it's fascinating, you guys. I think this is we are watching our fandom change right before our eyes. And I think it is something that I would really encourage you to keep an eye on, because the last thing I'll say before we get to the comment section here on the Monty Show, presented by The Advocates, theadvocates.com. The last thing I'll say is they're going to expand the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
And I've been beating this drum since the new year, and nobody wants to believe me. They're going to expand the NCAA tournament. It's inevitable. It is going to happen.
Yeah.
And if you are Duke, if you're Carolina, why John Calipari seems to be saying that he's going to be back next year. And I get it. He's got a $30 million buyout. But if you're the Blue Bloods, you better be in a position to leverage more money if the NCAA tournament gets expanded.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that happens now, then after the ACC, before the ACC. I don't know. But when it happens, Brett Yormark is putting himself in a position to leverage more units, to make more money on the NCAA tournament, to make more money on Kansas City for the Big 12 basketball tournament. These things are not insignificant. These conversations with people like Duke, and if you're Brett Yormark, I have not once questioned his methodology because it's worked splendidly. Why would he not be reaching out to Duke, Carolina? Why would you not be reaching out to the Virginias? If I am Brett Yormark, I've already made calls to Tallahassee. I've already made calls to Clemson. I'm calling everybody. Do they answer the phone? I hope so. Will I ever talk to them? I hope so. But if I don't, they're going to damn well know I want to talk to them.
Yeah.
I'm going to make every effort I can because, again, the question I have is, what's the worst that can happen?
But are they going to say no?
What's the worst that can happen? That it just is. It is, in my mind, this is exactly the guy you want on top of the Big 12.
And by the way, he's not distracted by litigation, which I might point out the ACC's got lots of right now.
Yeah, I'm just telling you. All right. The comment section, as always. Boy, Caitlin Clark had me nervous last night on Prize Picks. Now, I only won 2 of 3 on a flex play, which is the beautiful thing about Prize Picks. You can go hardcore,
Stay hard,
like Jake does, and lose all the time when you don't play a flex pick, a flex play. A flex play is, hey, here's three more or less, right? So last night, I think it was 36.5. I got good old Caitlin Clark at 36.5
now,
last night.
Is that your bookie's line or your interpreter's line?
Well, no, that's what Shohei told me.
Oh, okay.
So,
Got it.
Anyway, the point is, I got her at 36.5 and she came through. Now, unfortunately, Devin Booker, and we got to have a talk about the Suns. Devin Booker's pissing me off. Like, I look at Book last night, 3 of 10 from 3. 3 of 10 from 3.
Including that brick to end the game.
I had him at 47.5 last night.
Uh-huh.
It's the Spurs. I'm taking more. 36 points. We're good.
Yeah.
6 rebounds. We're good. 4 dimes.
So he winds up at 36 or 46 instead of 47.
Just one more bucket. One of those threes goes down. I lose.
Devin.
Thankfully, the season's not over. The Suns are disappointing. The Suns are absolutely disappointing. And of course, I would like to thank the Utah Jazz. Utah Jazz. Thank you for not playing any defense.
My name is Luca.
Because my guy Luca.
Your guy.
My guy Luca.
What, you live on the second floor now too?
Why do you have to say things like that?
My name is Luca.
48.5. He drops 52 for me last night.
Stay home.
29, 12, and 13. Luka came through. Anybody watch Larry Markkinen? Anybody watch my guy John Collins? I almost took John Collins last night.
What about your boy Key?
Yeah, he's all right. He's cooled off a little bit.
Yeah.
John Collins is your Prize Picks. He's your over-under on Prize Picks. Because John Collins, it seems like every single night is 27.5 points. Oh, more or less. I took more last night, and he had 21 points, 11 rebounds, and 2 dimes.
Yeah.
What did I tell you about JC? That's your guy. So I won 2 out of 3 last night. Thanks a lot, Book, you prick.
Hey, bada boom, bada bing.
It was awesome. I won $25. Very happy with it. That's the best part about Prize Picks. You don't have to be perfect. You just got to get 2 out of 3.
Yeah.
Download the Prize Picks app. Use the promo code Monty, M-O-N-T-Y, to get 100% deposit matching. There's a link in the description below, or just go to your app store, look for Prize Picks. Let's play the tournament together, you guys. The NCAA tournament on Prize Picks is great. I personally love it. The Masters is coming up here in a couple of weeks. It's already April.
Yeah, bro.
Do you guys understand it's March 26th today? Good Friday on Friday. We'll be off on Friday for Good Friday. Easter Sunday is this Sunday. How is it already Easter?
Yeah, bro.
In God's name, image, and likeness.
Craziness. It's already Easter.
Yeah.
It is already Easter.
Yeah.
Get on the Prize Picks, download the app, use the promo code Monty, M-O-N-T-Y, Monty, to get 100% deposit matching. Northeast Ohio, Boise State fan, a member for 5 months.
Let's go, baby.
Gonzaga.
Hey, Gonzaga.
Gonzaga. Gonzaga.
Yeah.
Gonzaga.
Yeah.
Gonzaga.
To the Big 12 gets them a ton of money.
Gonzaga.
I believe that it would be very good for them.
Gonzaga.
I believe it'd be very good for them, and I'm a believer. Matt
I like
Ritson,
Gonzaga.
I'm sure you do, for $5. Kyle Smith leaves Washington State for Stanford basketball jobs. I'm curious where Stanford and Cal end up at
They're
the end
not
of this
gonna
whole
be
thing.
in the ACC a long time, dude.
Well,
There's
if
no
the
way.
ACC's intact, they're going to be there.
Well, yeah, I know. Well, you agreed.
Ultimately, how bad is this for SMU? Oof. Oof.
Yeah.
I think Calford, I'm interested to see what happens to them, because you've got 2 really good basketball programs there. Stanford's going to, you ready? Stanford's on the come in basketball.
What am I supposed to do with that, bro?
What?
Well, I tried to set it up for you, man. I tried to set it up.
Stanford and Cal are on the rise, man.
Yeah.
I'm telling you. It's going to be very interesting to watch all that go down. OG Gary, yeah, Oklahoma fan, know your goddamn place.
Yeah.
So true. Big Daddy Magic.
Well, hey players, did you see Victor Wembanyama ride the pine last night?
Hey, players.
Victor's the way.
We're to pray for Victor. He might not play when he comes to Utah for a ticket. Hey, man. It's only money, right? Scott of Greywater Watch. Miami is really interesting, too. They are. But Miami, you guys probably don't pay attention at all. Miami as a municipality is a fucking wreck. It is
dude.
it's so bad.
Yeah, I mean, Diddy walking around Miami yesterday, walking around the airport. That was a good look. That was a really good look, dude.
Did you see that he flew his private jet to the island so the feds could raid his homes in a trafficking investigation? Dude. Anyway, Eric and Raleigh. NC State will do anything in its power to screw UNC. Interesting. I talked to a guy yesterday who said he has heard repeatedly that North Carolina and North Carolina State are independent. They will not act as one, and they will not be forced at the legislature in North Carolina. Everybody's got this boner.
Stay hard.
That, they're going to make North Carolina State and North Carolina act as one. No, they're not. North Carolina's going North Carolina.
North Carolina.
NC State, man. Another interesting conundrum for the Big 12. Is NC State attractive to the Big 12?
Yeah. I think so.
I think it is.
Mm.
I think it is. I think it very much is.
I don't really hear much positivity coming out of the NC State camp.
They're
bro.
winning basketball games.
Yeah.
Are they not?
They are. Yeah.
They're winning basketball games. And so I think it's interesting.
But the thing is, if you're the Big 12, you need big brands. Not that NC State's a small brand, but I would categorize them as like a mid-level.
They're small. They're a smaller brand. The problem is NC State does enough to be relevant. They just don't win.
Yeah.
They're
just like around. They're the team that loses to the big dog in the Sweet 16.
But they'll beat you occasionally.
Yeah.
And they'll win enough games. And from a football perspective, NC State has not won nearly enough.
Yeah.
They're like North Carolina is the antithesis of North Carolina State. You're growing in football. You don't need to win national championships because you've got Armando Bacot, who doesn't win shit either.
Fat.
I'm just a little
Fat.
bit. He's not fat. He's got a lot of junk in the
Fat.
He's got a protective layer.
He's thick.
Yeah.
But you've got recent national championship success in your basketball program. So your football program continues to put Mitch Trubisky in.
Dude, Drake May.
Let's move on. Drake May. He just does things. He's a legacy player at North Carolina. Oh, and that's right. He's a football player whose dad has massive ties to the basketball program. And he is. There's some people who think Washington's going to draft free Harbaugh #2. You're out your goddamn mind.
But he's a franchise quarterback, man. Ask Jimmy. Jimmy will tell you he's the best quarterback in this draft.
All I'm saying is Drake May is going to be a top 5 pick in the NFL draft.
Somehow.
You look at Carolina football, they're doing more than well enough.
Yeah.
Right? You look at Carolina basketball, they're winning. They're winning. They're top seeds. They're contending for national championships. And as long as they beat Duke, nobody cares if they beat NC State as well, but we beat Duke.
Yeah.
Like NC State is that school that's like, oh, cool, they won. Hey, what's going on at Carolina? God damn. Right? Like, that's the reality of
facts.
That is the reality of it. So it is what it is. Oh, Oak State James.
Wow. Okay. So before we get into Oak State James's comments today, I must say our segment about Oak State James yesterday was legendary. That's some of our best material yesterday. And James, I appreciate
some of your worst, James.
Yeah, James, I appreciate your level of, and I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt. Your level of trolling.
Wait. Your level of Sunday night drug use. That's all I can think of. Moonshine.
Okay, was a hell of a drug.
Was it moonshine on a Sunday night? That's
cocaine
why.
And hookers, my friend.
I'm
asking for a friend.
I'm here for you, man.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not. I mean, lover boy over here.
Oh dear.
You know.
Okay.
I mean,
James.
I don't know what you did Sunday night to make you compare Okie State to Georgia.
No redos
in football. Again, ayahuasca. I mean, it's coming out of both ends. I get it. Sitting on the crapper, leaning into the bathtub. Who hasn't been there?
Dude.
Who hasn't been there, James?
Dude.
Right? You probably got some bad cougar tail on Sunday night.
Damn.
Little old and moldy.
Hiscock.
Anyway.
All right. So what's his comment today?
Even I have to admit.
Oh, no. Okay.
OU doesn't suck. We're not playing this game today, boy. Anyway, Trigger Monty. But I do think Arizona and Utah are both way better than. Fuck.
Damn.
I read half a sentence and I gave you the benefit of the doubt. Then you roll in with Utah and Arizona are both better than OU right now.
I don't think, to be honest with you, I don't think any of us know where OU is going to be this year. I don't know. Obviously losing. Losing Dylan Gabriel, losing a great quarterback like that to Oregon is tough, So I don't know. It'd be interesting to see what they're able to put together in the SEC.
No, I'm not doing it. OU is better than Oak State.
With all due respect.
How did the jump shot look this year in Stillwater? Oh, not good. What about over there in Norman? On the wall, like none anymore. They were 20-12. How'd you get? Oh, that's right. You guys were 12-20. Thank God for West Virginia. You'd be dead last, boy.
My bad.
OU's better than OU had their glory days with Adrian Peterson. Now, small-minded folk such as and like myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
U.S. Americans and shit.
Listen, first team all beat his kid with a switch.
I'm just. Adrian Peterson hasn't been in OU for has it been 55 years? I mean, did you forget about Lincoln Riley and I don't know, 1,000 other NFL draft picks that came after Adrian Peterson? We're throwing Adrian Peterson in here. Well, hell. I mean, Kyler Murray hasn't been at OU, but he's no Brandon Whedon.
Dude, what about DeMarco Murray?
Where do you come up with this shit,
what
bro?
about Quentin Griffin?
I try. James, it's always good to see you. Adrian Peterson. Washington State went to 8 bowl games in a row. Oh, God.
Well, that means they're as good as Georgia, right?
No, they're as good as Oklahoma State. Reason why USC wanted out, didn't want to go to Pullman on a Friday night.
Well, I don't blame him for that.
Because nobody should go to Pullman. Again, I don't know nothing about Spokane. Did anybody hear the women's NCAA tournament fiasco in Spokane?
Rough.
So you know that Spokane hosted the women's regional. Utah, part of that regional, goes in. And so, there's no hotel rooms because nobody wants to go to Spokane. So they all stayed in Coeur d'Alene, across the border, Idaho and shit. Apparently there were some racist and violent threats against the women's basketball teams at the hotels in Coeur d'Alene. And so they had to move the women out of their hotels on an emergency basis. Oh, yeah. Let's go to Spokane and Pullman. I mean, have you seen the Deers? The Deers is out here in
Facial recognition.
Don't get me started. Oh, look, it's Ferris Khan.
Oh, this ought to be rich.
The value of a top football program is 5 times that of a basketball program. UNC is not nearly as valuable as USC or Oregon, for example.
What am I supposed to say to that? Dude.
You really don't understand brand?
Bro.
You really don't understand brand.
You can't be serious, man. Next comment. No, I'm not.
Okay.
Not next comment.
You really think, or look at Oregon, and let's use Oregon. You really, no, I'm not doing it. Eric and Raleigh, watching the revenue sports in college go semi-pro in real time. Seriously. Lil Jizzy, Monty has the looks and the brains. Yeah. Size 15 shoe and stuff. Big socks. Kenneth Maynard, UNC is one of the top athletic brands, period. They are the Texas or Michigan of the ACC. No, they're not. I asked Ferris Khan. They're not.
How
They're
could
not.
they be?
I mean, they're Pedo State.
Yeah.
Big Daddy Magic.
Hey, players.
Hey, on Thursday, can we all have a rupee float at Monty's house to celebrate BYU being an absolute joke? and Mark's Madness, rupee floats, and bonding with the Brotherhood. Okay, did you guys hear what BYU football did to their ticketing program? My God.
Bro.
So, I say this in all sincerity. I have no sarcasm. You need to understand something. BYU football in the LDS community is a way of life. Season tickets are generational at BYU. Your mom, her mom, now you and your kids and their kids. That's BYU football. So when your mom's mom bought tickets and they auto-renewed every year, right? Season tickets. And then your mom went to the seventh layer of heaven and those tickets became your tickets. And then as the generations went on and you died, then your kids got your tickets, which were your mom's tickets. Because every year they just auto-renewed. Until a policy change came down. Now, there's no more auto-renewing and there's no more generational tickets. See, because it's all done based on who gives more to the athletic program. Oh. So now your butt cheeks don't sit where your mom's butt cheeks and her mom's butt cheeks once sat. Now you have to get a date and time to renew season tickets based on how much you've donated to the athletic department.
Yeah.
This is dumb. There are some things that I understand have to change. We have to make more money in our athletic departments. But can you imagine a legacy family that's had BYU tickets for 50 years not having that seat anymore? Can you imagine when you, for multiple generations, have gone to LaVell Edwards Stadium and sat in the same seat and sat in the exact same seat as your grandma, your mom, and now you to watch BYU football with your boys? Just the same way that maybe your dad took you and your brother. Now you've got to go sit across the stadium and you got to look at some asshole who's got more money than you and donated more to the athletic department sitting in your dad's and your granddad's seats. I think this is one of the worst policies BYU has ever come up with. It is different. You need to understand, because of the faith and the material difference in life at BYU. You have to understand, this is one of the most foolish money grabs I have ever seen. And I think it is a huge mistake.
Yeah, it sends the wrong message, no doubt.
I think it is a huge mistake. Huge mistake.
Yeah, what's anyone going to do about it?
Huge mistake. I cannot fathom that you are going to take families, and you want to talk about contributing to an athletic department, generational money to pay for those season tickets. That money means nothing. It's
wild.
Shocked.
Yeah, it's wild
that this is the situation. I cannot believe it. I cannot. Do you understand? Like, it's not at LaVell Edwards Stadium. It's very difficult to have a bad seat. It is a beautiful venue. It is easily one of the most picturesque, beautiful places to watch a football game.
Yeah.
At nighttime football in September and in October at LaVell Edwards Stadium is,
amazing.
I mean, unreal. And the idea that I've got to sit somewhere else than my family and past generations have sat because I don't have the wherewithal to donate at the level of Jim and Tammy, and they get to bring their daughter Breland to the game instead of me and sit in my family seats is disgusting.
Yeah.
It is a horribly, horribly thought out process. I just cannot fathom it.
Yeah.
Cannot fathom it. Eric and Raleigh, BYU finally embracing the modern way to make money on ticket sales. At whose expense? It's not the modern way you make tickets. It's just not the right thing to do. Texas A&M did a similar thing as BYU. People were pissed and most got way worse seat locations. It's terrible. It is absolutely terrible.
Yep.
Jeremy Severe, why does the ticketing program thing not surprise me? It probably should not. And this is where not understanding the money at BYU is very difficult. It is, because you're never going to know what they make or don't make. It's shocking to me that that's the case. Dakota Tubbs, sounds like if you donate more to the church, you get better kickbacks. Essentially, you do. Yeah. And Donuts, Sataki will lead BYU to a 5-win season, maybe. No, I completely disagree. Oh, look, Dickhead's in the comment section. Big Daddy Magic, thank God not BYU fans, right? Ferris Khan, tickets are not real estate. Not sure why these guys don't understand that. As usual, Ferris shows his
stupidity.
And again, I just say, Michigan fan reveals himself every single day.
Yeah.
First of all, have you ever owned season tickets to anything of value? And I would think that if your dad and his dad and your brothers and your uncles had spent lifetimes going to, in your case, Michigan football, which nobody did. The bandwagon's amazing at Michigan.
100%.
If your family heritage had been dedicated to Michigan football, you wouldn't be talking about real estate, dumbass. You would understand the meaning. But again, at Michigan, you guys are not great football fans. You're
convenient football fans.
You are convenient football fans. And it's what I try to explain to people. Football at BYU is a way of life. Football in Utah, college football in Utah is different. It's not the same. It's not. Michigan State is not even in the same breath as Utah versus BYU.
Yeah, Utah and BYU football fans don't have an NFL team where they can go and that they can go and make their number one and then fall back on the college team, which is what routinely happens for Michigan.
It is as simply as I can say it. BYU football, Utah football, it is a way of life. It is not secondary. You have families who don't speak to each other ever. You have mothers and sons and husbands and wives and brothers and sisters who do not speak for weeks at a time. Do you guys understand, like, the way you don't talk politics at the dinner table? Do you understand in this state? People do not talk BYU and Utah at the dinner table. You can't. So the idea that you would take generational relationships, generational memories, and just throw them in the trash, it's incomprehensible. I just can't. There's got to be I understand you've got to raise money. I understand, because what this is, it's the equivalent, and again, Ferris is too naive to understand this. It's the equivalent of a PSL, which is a personal seat license, which is to say, hey, you're going to have to pay $150,000 for the right to own this seat per seat. And then you have to pay for tickets to come to games in that seat. That's what this is. This is in a college environment. You are telling season ticket holders, here's your personal seat license. This is what it's going to cost. And I completely disagree with it.
Yeah, but let's just make sure we roll out all that legislation on players and making sure that,
BYU football.
Come on.
BYU football is you can't, unless you have experienced it, unless you understand it, unless you have sat in the same seat as your granddad and your dad, your uncles. Like, I don't mean to be redundant about it. It's just different. It's not unlike certain situations at other universities. But I love, and this is why the Mormon LDS stereotypes that everybody loves to run out. You don't get it. You don't understand why you don't talk about BYU and Utah at the dinner table. And this thing at BYU with the ticket policy really bothers me.
Yeah, I mean, as it should. And I think that, what's surprising to me is that there isn't more value put on the support of families, who have supported the program for decades. And BYU is one of those programs that's fortunate to have that type of support. They're fortunate. They benefit from the local landscape and in the way that fans interact with them, because fans don't have an NFL team here. Fans don't have, other teams to distract them. It's essentially the Jazz and then Utah and BYU. Yep. It's those three. So it just surprises me.
Speaking of which, I only see the ceiling at Big O Tires.
There he is.
My guy. Like, hey, did you hear about this BYU ticket policy?
Yeah, I've known about it, obviously, because I had to buy tickets. Sorry, I'm making some popcorn for you, Monty.
Oh, wow. I like it. See, again, you go into Big O. That's the other. We talk about tire smells at Big O Tires.
Dude, you walk in there with a fresh popcorn cooking. My God.
And you always have fresh popcorn. Always.
Oh, yeah.
Like, do you
Fresh
sweep the floor
popcorn.
as well? Like, is there anything as an owner at Big O Tires that you don't do?
You gotta do everything at one point in your life, right?
Yeah.
Clean
Yeah.
toilet.
So how do you feel about this BYU ticket? I've heard from a bunch of BYU fans about this, and it does. I don't. What is BYU football? You're a BYU supporter. What does BYU football mean to you? Like, how important is BYU football to you?
I would say it's a very unhealthy, important part of my life.
Yeah. Right?
No, we love it in our house. I've got to the point where I have a 5-year-old and an 8-year-old, and they will go to a game and watch the whole game, not asked to go leave and run around. My youngest, actually, I'll come home from work and he'll be laying in the couch watching an old BYU game from this last year.
Yeah.
So it's very important in our house. We love football. We love baseball. But it's awesome. But yeah, I know there are a lot of fans that are super upset at the way they have handled this ticket situation. I don't have an answer. I don't know what the best way to do it would be. You do have a lot of pissed off people.
Yeah.
And people who have been in their seats for 15, 20 years. And now not only are they not in their seats, they're nowhere near their section, or they're not even in the stadium. Like,
Yeah.
there's certain people, unless I don't know what this week, I don't know who's buying, what level of Cougar Club members are buying right now. But yeah, there are a lot of disappointed fans. And I think that could have a negative impact on Les, because
I would agree.
of the excitement and the being in, and that's what makes Les a little different. I'm not saying we're the best stadium, but we have a very different stadium than most. Is you have so many fans who are so passionately involved in every game, and so it makes it loud, it makes it intense. A lot of the fans that have been going for 20, 18, 15 years, they understand the game of football, so they know, hey, we need to be loud right now, not just when the play started, right? Like, and so I think you're going to have a lot of you could have a negative impact in that sense, which does stink, but also just traditions, right? We
Yes.
love traditions, and
People
yeah,
don't
I don't
understand. Football's not football like it is in every other state, and I've tried to help people understand the fact that, again, the analogy I always use is you don't talk BYU Utah at the dinner table, because ultimately it's not going to end well, Ryan. Right? Like you don't talk about it.
Yeah. Here in this state, we don't say don't talk about politics at the dinner table. We say don't talk about Utah and BYU, 100%.
I agree.
Bring on the politics. That's nothing until you get into BYU and Utah.
I love. What is it? And not to be nostalgic about it, but what is it like sharing that with your kids? Because I think that's the guy that's going to lose. A guy DM'd me like over the weekend talking about how he's going to lose his parents' seats. And that it's going to be, he essentially said at his price point, he'll be across the stadium and he'll be able to see different people sitting in those seats that have been in his family for years now. And that's what he's upset about. So, like, what does it mean to you to share BYU football with your kids?
I mean, it's awesome. That's super sad to hear that story. But for me, it's everything. Like this, we went to the alumni game and my kids loved it. Interacting with some of the players and watching the older guys play flag, and bumped into Steve Young, and it was just a cool experience for them. And I think creating those memories are a great part of a family. Yeah. And when you're not in an opportunity, and unfortunately, it's all about money.
It is. It truly is.
At the end of the day, and I know they say our tickets are still relatively cheaper than most in the Big 12, but still, it still does stink. But I knew the prices had to go up from going from independence to the Big 12. I get it, right? I totally get it. But the way they could have done it, I think, is different. But like I said, hey, it's not my job. I have no say. I'm just voicing my opinion. But I think it could have a negative impact. And like you're going to have some fans that have been going to every home game for the most part that are just buying 1 or 2 tickets now.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you guys buy season tickets to any stadium, but I think one of the problems that you can buy 12 tickets starting from AD to Legacy 6 all the way down. Every person, depending on where you're donating, you can buy 12 tickets.
That's
And
wild.
some of those people are buying 4 tickets for their family, then buying 8 more in a different section and selling them. So in my opinion, there's the problem.
I do that
only
with the Cubs. I can't. I'd be a hypocrite if I didn't. That's what I do with the Cubs. I'm a Cubs season ticket holder, and that's exactly what I do with the Cubs, man.
Yeah,
So,
but hold on. Are you getting early access to buy tickets before other people in the public? No. Or are you?
yeah.
Oh,
No
geez,
comment.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
So I feel like that kind of, I get why you did it. I get it. And I get why people do it. But I think to create that family tradition, if we got rid of that, you'd have a lot more people that were in the upper or in the end zone sections that could be buying tickets.
100%.
Because those
You
are
know what,
always the
Ryan?
last tickets to go.
Why am I a Cubs season ticket holder? Not because I live close, right? Like, we go to spring training every year. We have tickets in Mesa. We go to spring training every year for a week. And it's a thing we do with our family, and I absolutely love it. So what I don't love is I just bought I told you I bought the BMW. I've had it 2 weeks, Ryan, and I have a broken windshield already. Yeah, man. I have a broken windshield. It's so frustrating to me the way that glass repair works. And so you tinted my windows, obviously, on the Jeep. Why is glass so expensive? Why are windshields so expensive?
Capitalism, my friend. They have a monopoly on our industry over here. And they know that new BMW you drive, they know they can charge whatever they want because it's a brand new BMW. That glass costs the same as the 2014 BMW, but because it's a BMW, they can charge what they want, and they'll charge you a calibration fee, which they don't have to calibrate it. Like, I don't know, it sucks. I mean, there's sometimes people they'll bring me in a quote from right next door. So next to Big O Tires and American Fort, there's a Safe Light. I'm not shouting them out. They're just right next to me. I will have customers bring me in quotes, and I kid you not, I am literally half the price on some windshields. Half.
It's brutal.
So,
it's $1,200 is the cost of that windshield. And
it's
you're
not
exactly
under warranty.
right. Well, we'll calibrate it for you.
Is it under warranty?
Yeah, dude.
It is under warranty, or it's not?
No, it's not under warranty.
Oh, you just need to text me your VIN. I'll be cheaper than $1,200.
Yeah, you absolutely will. Yeah, we're kind of. This is why I bring my stuff to you, because it's so frustrating to deal with. I don't know why people go to the dealership for auto repair. A guy like you're talking to the owner of Big O Tires and American Fork, and you quite literally, I think your biggest thing is I get better service, I get faster service, I essentially get concierge service where I get a custom experience, and I'm quite literally in a lot of cases, Ryan, I'm paying you 50% of what a dealer would cost.
Yep, 100%.
Yeah,
it's crazy. So, we don't call them dealerships here at Big O Tires and American Fork. We call them stealerships.
Yeah, it's true. It's absolutely the truth. I don't know why you would ever if you're buying tires from a car, think about the cost of a tire. It's wild. Anyway, you still have your spring special going on.
Yes.
Because people are excited about several people have asked me about it. So roll your spring special out for me.
It's our spring special. It's $59.99. We do an oil change. We'll rotate your tires, check all the pressure and all your sensors, check your fluids, top off your fluids, and we'll also do a free alignment check as well on all your vehicles.
And I would also point out that $59.99 for an oil change on its own is a bargain these days. That is a fantastic deal. My guy, appreciate you. Don't forget, every Thursday, 7:30, Jake Retzloff, presented by Big O Tires and American Fork. Go in, see Ryan, get your tires, your complete auto care needs, everything you need on your car. Give him a shot, because Ryan, you're going to beat their price. Anybody that walks in you're going to beat their price, right?
Right. And on tires right now, we're running a couple promos, $100 off any Nexans or Toyo tires. You want some NATOs on your truck as well, $120 off on those. That's for the next 3 weeks. And we're offering that same promo, 12-month, no entrance, in-house financing, or 6
wow.
months, whatever one works. So 12 months, no interest.
Man,
You
what
wanna
do
put
you
a-
have to lose? Make
No
the phone
interest.
call. Make the phone call. Go in and see Ryan. 12 months in-house. That's fantastic. See, you just have so many advantages when you shop local. Help your small business owner like Ryan at Big O Tires and American Fork. Ryan, good to see you, man. I appreciate you supporting the show.
No problem. How you going, guys? Take care.
See you next week. That's Ryan at Big O Tires. You guys, that $59.99 deal.
It's legit.
That is and he has 12 months, zero financing in-house.
No reason not to have your car dialed in.
That's crazy. This ticket thing's a big deal. And it's guys like Ryan at Big O Tires. He's got a 5 and an 8-year-old, man.
Yeah.
And they're watching BYU football together.
Not anymore, they're not.
That's meaningful. That's meaningful, man. I'm telling you, that's 100% meaningful.
It surprises me that like I agree with what Ryan said. Hey, you understand that going to the Big 12, ticket prices are going to go up, but ticket prices going up is different than, hey, we're going to change how we do season tickets. That's two completely different conversations. And it does bother me. I feel like there are a lot of things in life where just like, yep, it's getting more expensive. Yep, it's more expensive whether you like it or not. And you just got to deal with it. And if you don't want to pay it, you're not going to get it. And we don't care if that upsets you.
Yep, totally agree. Glenn, San Diego State Aztec. How's that pro rata you guys deserved? I'm sorry. I'm a terrible person.
Glenn is a nice human.
Glenn is a very nice human. You got to have money. Ain't a damn thing funny. You got to have some bennies in Cougar land of milk and honey.
Yeah.
And BYU fans are so loyal.
Yeah.
They're so loyal. Like Tanner Plumer. Hello, Tanner Plumer. Last year I said BYU is winning 6 games. Obviously that didn't happen. I'm not really confident in them the next couple of years, so maybe getting tickets isn't worth it. But you know that BYU is not going to be down in the long term. You support your team through the highs and the lows. That's why you're not degenerate Michigan fan.
Or maybe you are.
Well, maybe you are. I'm telling you, support your team through the highs and the lows. That's why you have season tickets. That's why there's so many reasons to do it. There's so many reasons to do it. Big Daddy Magic. Tanner, give up your season tickets and go to Star Wars Celebration. It's in Japan in 2025.
Oh, man, dude.
San Diego State Glenn. Apology accepted, Monty. Hey, Monty. Oh, look, it's OG Salty. What's up, you jerks?
Oh, man, just out here being jerks,
That's us. Good to see you. RJC, man, what part of negotiations are ongoing and all the speculation is just mental masturbation?
Jesus.
Pundits podcasting just jerking people off. Truth is rich people lose. ESPN knows they have a problem. I have no idea what you're talking about.
That's a nice poem you just rolled out. Like, I don't know what you're...
What are you talking about? Okay. Whoa. John DeLon. What's with Jake's hoodie? Is he a turncoat gump now?
What is a turncoat gump?
Is he a turncoat gump now? What is that even? He's wearing
it's a
Nike golf sweatshirt.
Yeah, like what's the issue, bro? Just because I chose not to wear black today.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, you went super casual, but it's fine. Hey, today we've had a weird week in the comments section in the world. Tanner Plummer, BDM. If I had the time, I would totally go. Japan's amazing.
Yeah,
Japan's amazing. John DeLon, bumps are Bama fans. Okay. It's a communist red hoodie. Sir Bob Lob.
So wait, let me get this right.
Now you're a communist.
So now I'm a Bama fan and I'm a commie. That's what we're saying. I just want to make sure we're on the because for you're Mormon and dying and
I'm
old and whatever.
Right.
So now I'm an Alabama fan, even though this would be Georgia red, not Alabama red, you buffoons. But anyway, I'm an Alabama fan and I'm a communist. Okay. I mean, hey, whatever floats your boat, man.
Who are you, Dakota
fine.
Tubbs?
Apparently.
Tell Pootie I said hello.
Yeah.
There he is. Dakota, Jake confirmed as a Pootie supporter.
Yeah,
man, I love me some Tucker Carlson.
Tucker did the best interview we've ever seen over in Russia, man. He was fair and balanced and asked real questions.
Oh my God. Let's see. Big Daddy Magic. They are not jerks. Love straight up players. Okay. OG Salties. J2H actually looks pretty sharp.
I appreciate that, bro.
Who are you? Oak State James? OG Gary. Now we're hating on the color red, apparently.
Yeah, apparently, bro.
Glenn says you support your team even when they don't get the pro rata. Well, the basketball sure makes it easier. Yeah, it does.
Okay, it's a serious question though. Seriously, how long does the pro rata
serious
jab?
Question. Seriously,
How long does the pro rata jab live on?
Oh, it's amazing.
I mean, is it decades?
I don't know. I mean, with Brady Hoke as your football. Oh wait, the fade looks good though, Jake.
Thanks, Gary.
Yeah.
Gary, when we going golfing, bro? You dodged us the last time. You said that you weren't actually that good at golf, so I'm just asking.
The weather needs to stop fucking around.
Yesterday was wild, dude.
Dude, I can't keep doing this, man. Mrs. Monty will not move to I've begged her to move back to Scottsdale. She will not do it. I actually tied myself. I didn't. I hated living in Arizona.
The golf was so mid.
The golf is very mid. But I'm tired of cold weather. I'm flipping over it. Yeah. I am ready to play golf. Like I finally got a tee time at a really good course I was excited about, and now it's supposed to rain on Saturday. It's like, okay. Last weekend I went to the range, like, I'm ready to play golf. I'm ready to play golf. I want better weather. John DeLon, just joining in on the lunacy. I was feeling too damn normal over here. See, and I totally get that. Sitting next to Jerkweed over here, or Jerkies, or whatever.
J2H, yeah.
J2H, the jerky
Who
boy.
the fuck is that guy?
I feel way too normal most time too. Sir Bob Loblaws, Tucker's first visit to a supermarket.
Okay.
Exactly. They have food here. Wow. Exactly.
Yeah.
Tanner says, growing as a diehard BYU fan. Do you mean growing up? Growing as a diehard BYU fan, I would never wear anything red. When I saw anybody in red, I would cringe. I'd walk on the other side of the street. So if I was younger, Jake would be hurting my soul. Okay. OG Gary, pro rata jab lives on forever.
Yeah.
Forever. OG Salty, don't play me like that, Monty. I know James is the court gesture of the program these days. Pretty much he is.
Yeah.
Big Daddy Magic, hey, playa, if my son don't come with me, you can go to Japan for Star Wars celebration. We can have 23 hours of bonding on a plane together watching Victor highlights.
Oh, what are you talking about,
Jake's
man?
totally in for that.
Dude.
Yeah.
I mean, as long as my interpreter doesn't pipe me on the way over, we're good.
CFC Cougs, red is the best. Never wear purple. See,
yeah, I'm not. Purple is very hit or miss.
I have some purple.
It depends on.
I have some
purple.
Jordan 1 lows that are purple that are. You have great fives.
I do, but that's a good purple. There are a lot of purples that are not good.
OG Gary, this weather sucks. Not gonna lie, I'm only a good weather golfer. Yeah, I'm tired of that weather.
Well, listen, man. As a Michigan fan, being a fair weather golfer is right up your alley. So
Yeah. Okay. I thought fat guys loved cold weather. Okay, now I'm just being an asshole, John DeLon says. Okay, well, now I'm fat. OG Gary, we will golf soon, Jake. Hopefully after the Masters. Need to knock the rust off so we can line up a weekend that works for both of us. Oh,
yeah.
You guys going to call?
Go out and play Glenmore? Go out and play River Oaks?
Dakota Tubbs. Tanner Plummer is a grower BYU fan, not a shower BYU fan. See what he did there? A shower.
Not a grower.
Little breaking news out of the National Football League. Did you guys see that they have approved? This will be interesting. Did you guys see that they have approved the revamped kickoff format in the NFL?
For like the 4th year in a row.
So basically, the kick coverage teams can't move until the kick returner catches the ball. They are much closer. I think they're lined up at the 45-yard line. So they're much closer to the returner. But what this does is this is aimed at creating more kick returns, but eliminating high-speed collisions. So you cannot go and tackle the guy. You can't even take a step or move towards him until the kick returner catches a football. Do you like this?
Yeah, I mean, I think for the league they needed it. I hate it from a pure football perspective. There's nothing like the NFL kickoff. It spans the length of the field. You've got guys running at full speed. Like, that's football. That's the league. That's what the game was meant to be. I understand, though, from the NFL's perspective that they're, obviously player safety is paramount right now. So yeah, I think this is a nice compromise. I don't love it, but it's a compromise. And
it is a compromise.
I will say that this is better than what we had recently, where everything just goes into the end zone and it's a wasted play.
Well, in the XFL, that's where this is coming from, by the way. In the XFL, they line up their guys. So if you're standing at the 10-yard line, the kick coverage team, the guys trying to tackle you on the kickoff, are at your own 35. So they're 25 yards in front of you. The thought is that in the NFL, it'll be on the 45. I haven't seen the details of it, but either way, it's a much safer kick return, and it creates more action, and it eliminates the high-speed collision.
And I think for fans and for TV, the TV situation, it's better for the league. You can't have kickoffs just being wasted, because most punts are now fair caught, right? Or, obviously you call it off and you just let it bounce where it goes.
Yeah, I think it is very interesting, and this is just my opinion. I think like the hip drop tackle elimination that came out yesterday, the tackle that, if you're a Dallas Cowboy fan, Tony Pollard broke his leg on.
Yeah.
Mark Andrews, a high ankle sprain, essentially fractured his ankle on. That tackle's now illegal. But they're saying that it's not going to be an in-game penalty, that it's going to be a written warning and then a fine. So they're not necessarily going to throw flags in the game. And it is reviewable post action, as they call it, post you taking that action. So this is very much reminiscent of lowering your head to use the crown of your helmet, right? Like, you don't see that a lot, but you hear about it almost every week. Somebody gets a fine. I think that's what this hip drop tackle thing is.
Yeah.
I don't know how you legislate that tackle out of the game. I don't. It is fundamentally taught in football. Back in the day when I lived in St. Louis and I coached youth football, we taught that tackle. We taught that tackle to grab your guy, turn, and just fall backwards onto your butt. That's what it is. You are tackling a guy and then you are falling down. How do you teach somebody not to do that?
Yeah.
Because you can't hit him high now. And what I always say is the same thing that the guy, every NFL analyst is going to tell you. You got to run through a guy's chest.
Yeah.
That's what this is now.
And that's what I think that people don't want to embrace. It can still be a physical sport. You can still, there were plenty of hits last season that were vicious, but were executed properly. If you're hitting him in the chest or in let's just call it his stomach, I guess, if you want to say, anywhere in there, you're good to go. And don't do it with your helmet, do it with your shoulder. You're good to go.
And the line is very thin, because you need replay on most of these hits to the upper body. You need replay. Did the crown of his helmet make contact first? That's going to be the standard now in the NFL. Did the crown of the helmet make contact with the face mask, or was it actually the shoulder that
And we've seen that. I remember there were reviews just like that.
And hey, is the guy lowering himself? Like, is there malice, intent? Like, are you headhunting? Like, this hip drop tackle is probably being made far more of than it needs to be. You can't have it both ways, though.
No.
You cannot protect a guy's ankles and knees and his head. And I think every NFL player would tell you they'd rather take a headshot than a knee shot. Because if you tear an ACL, you're not the same guy.
Yeah.
Technology be damned. You're not the same guy. You really are not.
That's why I say, in the bigger picture, this is why I love watching NFL football, but there are times where I'm like, man, dude, like, these guys are legit, like, damaging themselves to play this game.
Yeah. And RGC, man, CTE has created less emphasis, hard-hitting league. I'm all for keeping players safe. I think CTE is not about big hits. That's a common misconception. I'm not saying you're wrong, CT is about repeated trauma to your head.
Yeah, and I think for the league, what's difficult is that the game itself, the nature of the game is violent. It's a physical game. You're going to take a beating. That's football. That is full contact tackle football. That's the essence of the game. And the problem is that what this does to the style of play in the game is takes us more towards skill based rather than physical based. So when you start to look at, hey, you look at the Ray Lewis defenses, that style of defense is done.
Yeah.
You're not playing that kind of defense anymore.
I think you're looking at a situation where you are trying to keep quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers healthy.
Yeah, the guys that make the league money.
You're never going to prevent CT in a linebacker, an offensive or defensive lineman, because it's why you don't see guys headbutting anymore. Because remember back in the 80s, guys had smashed their faces into each other and celebrate, and you're creating concussions. You are giving yourself CT. And CT is not big hits, and I hope people understand that. It is the continued running of your head into another man's head, which is why youth football now is very much becoming flag and touch deeper into your middle school life. They do not want you playing tackle football when you're 7 years old, 8 years old.
Yeah, when your brain is still developing.
And it is what it is. But you also have to understand something, though. It's football. You're going to break bones. You're going to tear ligaments. You're going to get concussions. It's why I never allowed Jake to play football.
Yeah.
I just was not willing to do it.
And this is why, and you've been saying it for a while now, put your kids in golf. Don't put them in football.
Let your kids play multiple sports. Let your kids play. I would tell you every single day, if you want your kid, and there's so many dads, and there's nothing wrong with it. You want your kid to be a professional athlete, golf better be part of what they're doing every day. Put a golf club in their hand, but let them play basketball. Let them play baseball. But make sure that they're playing golf. Make sure they're on there. Make sure they're in your local. I just got my PGA book for Utah, the Utah section of the PGA yesterday. Great youth programs. Make sure that you were putting golf clubs in the hands of 5-year-old kids. And who cares if they hit the ball well at 5 years old? Take them to the range. Let them laugh. Let them have a good time. I posted a video months ago now. I went to the range, and behind me was a dad and a son. And this kid was yay high to a grasshopper, right?
Yeah.
And he's just having a blast hitting the ball 3 feet. And every 10 swings, he would hit a bomb and be like, oh, I landed it in the puddle. And it was amazing. I had headphones in, and I took my headphones out and turned my music off and just listened to this kid. And I think the caption even said the kid was like a symphony, man. It was amazing.
Yeah.
But I can't see you letting your kid play football.
No.
I cannot. Let your kid play baseball. Let your kid play basketball. Let your kid absolutely put a golf club in your kid's hand, because your kid will, by the time they are 15, be fully sponsored, making money as a professional golfer. It's an amazing change in sport. It is an amazing change in sport. And it is, yeah. Glenn says the continued running of your head. Oh, I thought Monty was going to finish that another way. Well, you know.
The CAC.
I would have, but your mom's not here. Nothing?
Glenn?
In future of all, football will be AI. Well, I don't know about that. Dakota Tubbs, we don't want people getting hurt playing football, but we make it even better. Why don't we make all the players wear bras and tinfoil hats? You know, in the future, we shouldn't be so barbaric. Football is barbaric.
Yeah.
It is inhumane. There's no way to get around that. Have you ever watched rugby?
Dude.
Have you ever watched Australian rules football?
And you know what's interesting about rugby? They don't wear helmets. So you don't have guys leading with their head.
But I can tell you this right now. If you watch any kind of rugby CT and concussions are a massive issue in rugby and in AFL football. Massive issue. There's no way to avoid it because you are not protecting your head. You have a job to do. Concussion or not. Don't even get me started, man. Jimmy Otson. Hello, Jimmy. Jake missed his chance to become Pat McAfee. Could have been Pat McAfee.
I'm not sure
Jake.
what that reference means.
Could have been a punter, man. Sir Bob Loblaws, which is why sometimes giving head is bad. You can't.
You're casual.
Australia football is overrated. No, it's not. I love, dude. I'm a huge rugby fan, but it is barbaric. It is. Ooh. John DeLon, the new wave of football defense is based on opportunistic turnovers. It is. They have de-emphasized the major hits in football.
Yeah.
The huge collisions.
We're less physical and more scheme. That's what we're doing.
A knee injury won't have the same impact in 20 years as head trauma will. Well, of course not. I mean, you are nothing without your brain.
Yeah.
You're nothing.
Well,
and you look at ALS.
Yeah.
And what repeated brain trauma causes, like my wife and I talk about this all the time. Why do I put creatine in my oats every day? Because you need to help your brain. Even when you don't play football or have massive concussions, you need to help your brain. Right? And you can't just think that you're going to go along and be a football player or a rugby player, or you've got to help your brain, man. You have to. Let's see. John DeLon. The next rule the NFL will make is defensive players can't touch the offensive player. Come on. They can only watch the offensive player run into the end zone and partake in their touchdown celebration. Let's not get carried away. Yes, OG Gary. Opening day in 2 days. Do you guys believe Shohei Ohtani? I want to get to this because if you guys have not seen this, this is Nar Binks, bro. Do you believe Shohei Ohtani? He met with the media yesterday about this gambling scandal, and I want to play this clip, and I want you guys to listen to this and just ask yourself, is this a plausible explanation?
So I never bet on baseball or any other sports, or never have asked somebody to do it on my behalf. And I have never went through a bookmaker to bet on sports. Just to kind of just go over the result, in conclusion, Ipe has been stealing money from my account and has told lies. Last weekend in Korea, media has reached out to a representative in my camp, inquiring about my potential involvement in this sports betting. So Ipe never revealed to me that there was this media inquiry, and to the representatives in my camp, Ipe told to the media and to my representatives that I, on behalf of a friend, paid off debt. Upon further questioning, it was revealed that it was actually, in fact, Ipe who was in debt, and told my representatives that I was paying off those debts. All of this has been a complete lie. So Ipe obviously lied about, basically didn't tell me about the media inquiry. And then その代表に対して、
僕もそうだし、代表、チームもそうですね。チームも、代理の人たちに対しても、つまり僕とコミュニケーションを取っていたっていうふうに嘘をついてました。
So Ipe has been telling everybody around that Ipe has been communicating with Shohei on all of this account to my representative, to the team, and that hasn't been true. The first time I knew about this gambling, Ipe's gambling, was during after the first game when we had the team meeting in the clubhouse. So during the team meeting, obviously, Ipe was speaking in English, and I didn't have a translator on my side. But even with that, I kind of understood what was going on and started to feel that there was something amiss. Prior to the...
Okay, first of all, fuck off. Shohei Ohtani, and go look on YouTube. Shohei Ohtani speaks fluent English. I don't know how many people realize this. He speaks fluent English. Is he more comfortable with a translator? I'm certain that he is. But this idea that the former interpreter was talking English and I just couldn't understand it because I didn't have an interpreter is complete garbage.
Some idea of what was happening. He didn't know everything.
Okay, first of all, you're telling me And he's made hundreds of millions of dollars. But you're telling me that your interpreter had access to your bank accounts. What kind of bank account was this? Did you have a minimum? And it's a minimum because I believe it's more than that. It's a minimum of $4.5 million. You had that in your Bank of America checking account? Or were you stupid enough to give this guy access to your money market account? Second of all, you don't have somebody that's handling your money? We're talking about a wire transfer of $4.5 million. Do you understand what that requires? It requires federal oversight. When you move $4.5 million, it triggers a flag. Do you understand that money is tracked very carefully by the banking system and the Internal Revenue Service? So, did you just have no idea? You're the first you heard of this? Come on, guy. Here's the problem that I have. None of this makes common sense.
No, it doesn't.
You don't track your money. How did your interpreter get access to your accounts? And we see you at professional sporting events all the time. We've seen you at NCAA tournament events. We've seen you at LA Laker games. Are you really telling me that you just had no idea this was happening? And because he claims he's never gambled on any professional sport of any kind. You're not I don't believe him. I will be perfectly honest with you. I do not believe him that the first time he heard about this and this whole concoction was in a team meeting in Korea. A member of the media reached out to the team. So you had no idea. Okay, well, then what's the truth? Because now you're saying that your longtime friend and interpreter lied to you, that he committed multiple felonies. And okay, so then I'm asking, why hasn't he been arrested yet? Why has he not been charged with wire fraud, bank fraud, theft? Why has he not been? Where's the prosecution? You've contacted authorities. Why did you wait so long to contact authorities? My God, why didn't you fire this guy the minute you heard about this?
It's very telling to me when you watch this press conference that there's not really a lot of vitriol. There's not a lot of passion, a lot of bitterness around what happened. It feels to me just watching, because again, so what we have here, this video we just played for you is obviously just the translator doing all the speaking, because it ends up being, if you go and watch the whole thing, it winds up being like a 15-minute press conference that should have been like a 5-minute press conference. Like the entire story, because of the translator situation, gets super drawn out. And I feel like the reason I say
everything's said twice.
I know, but the reason that I think that matters is because we're getting victimhood, but we're not getting, hey man, this guy just stole $4.5 million in my money. And I understand, Ohtani's loaded. I totally get it. But $4.5 million is no small amount of money, dude.
Where is your money manager?
Yeah.
There's not a money manager on the planet who's gonna have a wire transfer go out for $4.5 million and not notice it.
Yeah, like and again, the question of how does this guy allegedly have access to your accounts?
How did he get access? Did you give him a debit card? Did you give him? Because the only way this works, if it is actually the truth, he would have to be an authorized signer on that bank account or that money market account.
Yeah,
I want to see it.
And Ohtani would have had to have done that.
Or did he rip your passwords? Are you telling me that he committed computer crimes? Who are you, Matt Weiss? Are you telling me he committed computer crimes and got on and wired money without your knowledge? This doesn't add up. What Shohei Ohtani is doing here, one, he's being disingenuous, but two, he's counting on the public sentiment to prevent him from being suspended by Major League Baseball.
And I think the other thing that's really important here is what the bookie said. You guys remember what the bookie said? The bookie said that Ohtani's name was on all this stuff.
All of the payments.
And the only reason that he allowed this ledger to get up to $4.5 million is because he knew Ohtani was good for it. So the bookie was not real specific about what human being was actually placing those bets under Ohtani's name, because he didn't want to be. It didn't incentivize him to be. That's why he never questioned it. So that's what I'm saying. I'm not just going to buy this story hook, line, and sinker, bro. I'm not just going to sit here and be like, yeah, dude, this doesn't look suspicious at all. Like, come on, bro. You can't be the face of baseball and then be a complete buffoon in your checking account.
This goes back to what Stephen A. Smith said about Shohei Ohtani being the face of baseball. He doesn't speak English, so how can he be the face of baseball? Well, here's the problem now. Now, here's where the speaking English part comes back to roost. The guy is fluent in English. He does speak English. And I think he hides behind this. Well, I didn't understand it. I don't know. Like, so let me get this right then. You hire only the best people, right? You hired a translator who claimed to have graduated from UC Riverside. There's no record he ever graduated, who stole millions and millions of dollars from you over the last several years. But you didn't understand what he was saying and what he was doing. So I just ask, where's your agent? Where's your money man? Where is your financial advisor? Where do you not listen? I understand money changes people. And I look at my bank account pretty much on the daily. But you didn't notice $4.5 million went out?
Yeah, and this guy's been getting paid since before he came to the big leagues.
You didn't notice there was a trickle of money going out of your account? There's something wrong. So who's the financial guy who's going to get sued for this? Who is somebody? Because you can't tell me a guy that makes $700 million doesn't have a financial advisor.
Yeah.
Doesn't have somebody that manages his money. You cannot on your own manage that kind of money. You've got to have layers of people. Bro, this sounds like a guy, in my opinion, who had a slush fund for his personal use, as all rich people do. My guess is this was an account that he used for fun money. And when think about this guy's made hundreds of millions of dollars already.
Yeah, $4.5 million is not a lot.
People tend to think, well, he's got this money from the top. He played for the Angels for how long?
And before that, again, he played. I think it was the KBO he played in.
Yes,
he was getting paid, dude. He was one of the best players in, I believe, the KBO, which is obviously one of the best baseball leagues in the world.
I hope people understand that Shohei Ohtani, when he was with the Angels, had a $30 million season in 2023 alone. He made $30 million alone in that season. And that is just baseball money. That's not all of his endorsements in Japan. I believe he's a New Balance guy. So he's getting checks cut from this guy is an ATM machine.
Yes.
So it's not outlandish to believe that you yourself would notice $4.5 million. But somebody is in place to do that.
Yeah.
Unless you don't want people to do that. And so you have this money sitting in a separate account where this is where you pay, for example, Stormy Daniels gets paid out of this account.
Right.
This is where the strip club, the champagne room, the Vegas hotel suites, the NetJets card gets paid out of this account. This is where I buy my Jordans from. That's what this is where I put my 3-team parlay money.
And that's the other thing, dude. And I understand that there's no evidence that he's gambled, or at least that's come to light. There's no evidence that he's ever gambled.
Correct.
Which is an important factor.
Correct.
But there is something we are not being told in this story.
Correct.
And I am not going to sit here and give this interpreter all the credit in the world. I'm not going to sit here and give him the credit for having the balls to go out and be like, yeah, I'm going to run up an account with a bookie because Ohtani's backing.
That's called federal prison.
So
like, do you guys get that?
Why would you do that?
If you believe Shohei Ohtani, do you understand that this interpreter, the former interpreter, is going to prison? Federal prison. You're going to Leavenworth. You're not going to Jimmy's upstate county jail. You're going to Leavenworth.
And by the way, there's no conversation on how Ohtani is going to be made whole on this because allegedly he was a victim.
And the reality is gambling is becoming pervasive. Have you guys heard about this situation with the Raptors? You want some stories,
bro.
The NBA is investigating Jontay Porter, the brother of Michael Porter Jr. So Jontay plays in a game, leaves the game. I've got this eye abrasion. I can't continue. That night, tons of money were on the less than, the under props on points and rebounds and assists. He left the game early. The under hit. It was the most profitable under of the night in the NBA. Okay. One night. Plays the next game, everything's fine. Hits the over, great. 2 games later, Jontay Porter's like, man, I'm not feeling good. I'm going to have to leave the game. The second most profitable prop bet night in the NBA, and the most profitable prop bets of that night, the under on Jontay Porter. So he leaves early twice in 3 games. And those are the 2 most profitable under bets in the NBA that night.
Yeah.
That's not accidental. There were people trying to place $20,000 bets on the under on fucking Jontay Porter. The under. Yeah, I'm going to put 20 grand. You know, I just have a feeling
the shit's going good.
I'm going to ride this wave.
Bro, we didn't talk before the game. We ain't got no scheme here. It's just a gut feeling.
Jontay Porter, you know, I saw him taking a dump, or I should say, I heard him taking a dump. Doesn't sound good. I'm going to bet the under on Jontay.
That's right.
$20,000 bets coming in on this cat. He's now suspended.
For what was it? Irregularities?
Irregularity in betting patterns. This is every day now. And gambling is taking over sports.
We've graduated from degenerate Alabama baseball head coaches having a guy at the book. We've graduated from that now. We're now at, hey, I've got, totally agree, slush fund money that I'm running through an interpreter because I allegedly don't speak English, even though you're on tape speaking English, but I don't speak English. My eye hurts, so I'm not going to play tonight because I've got a side deal, a backdoor deal with a bunch of buddies who are, so we're all going to make money on this, and we're graduating. The crimes are getting worse, bro.
Yeah, we're going to have a herpes outbreak, so I hit the under.
Like, come on, dude.
Going to pop a blister in the first quarter.
I agree. Your best point is, where's the discipline for the interpreter if this story is true? Dude, like, where is the, we got you. We got you. It's all in the paperwork. Ohtani's testimony. We're good to go.
Because the bookie is under federal investigation, and they believe he's about to be indicted for gambling and racketeering. So that's how this scheme came to light. Is the bookie, who I would also remind you, the bookie used to work for a guy who went to federal prison for gambling and racketeering. So it's not like you were playing with a guy that,
you weren't playing with a little dude, man.
This is a known guy who's now under federal investigation. Shohei Ohtani should have been suspended immediately. But how's baseball going to do that? I don't know.
That's right. They're not.
But you better not have Trevor Bauer back in the game.
Which pisses me off to no end.
Make that really clear. Did you see Trevor Bauer? Dominated the New York Yankees. And yet can't get a job. Sean Mierzinski, let's say what Ohtani said yesterday was a lie. Hypothetically, wouldn't it have come out already and said that's not true? The problem is, I think it pays getting if you know what's good for you, you'll keep your mouth shut. Because this is the other unspoken truth here that people don't want to recognize. When a guy like Shohei Ohtani gets popped for gambling, who wins? The answer is nobody. Do you think the bookie wants Shohei Ohtani getting popped for gambling? No, because who gets in trouble for that?
Yeah.
The bookie. It's not good for the bookie. It's not good for Shohei. It's not good for Major League Baseball. The fucking interpreter needs to disappear and say nothing.
Which is exactly what's happened.
And then he will avoid charges, and he will just
off into the dust.
But if homie keeps talking, it will. Funny, they're investigating this guy. No charges have been filed. You knew this was going on and you just now went to the cops. Oh, that's right. PR spin. Yeah. We've reported him to the authorities. I'm telling you, it is. I don't know who's lying. I don't know who's lying.
Somebody is definitely lying. Like,
it'll come out. I mean, that'd be like Chick-fil-A saying that, our chickens are going to be hormone free. First of all, Chick-fil-A is wildly overrated.
Because it's garbage.
Wildly overrated.
Right.
Super Chicks is a far better chicken product.
Yeah.
Now they're on different levels. Chick-fil-A is McDonald's. I think it's what their fries suck. Prove me wrong. Oh, that's right. You can't. Their fries are not good. Their chicken sandwiches are mid. And they're not open on Sundays when some people like chicken sandwiches. My point is, did you guys hear about this story? Jake says, oh my God, there's no antibiotics in the Chick-fil-A chicken. We could go back. It turns out they're never going to get rid of it.
Yeah. Yeah. So they've downgraded their quality because they were having supply issues. So Chick-fil-A essentially the last couple of years, I think it was the last 5 years, went on this thing where they were like, hey, there's not going to be any antibiotics in our chicken, right? We're not going to have chicken brought in that's got antibiotics in it.
Correct.
They've now downgraded one level to very rarely there will be antibiotics in our chicken because the supply of chicken with no antibiotics is tapped. So to keep the business going,
it's expensive to grow chickens like that.
They had to downgrade. And to this end, I say, man, we're fat asses in America for this, right? Like, how often that Chick-fil-A's got to be a multi-billion-dollar company at this point.
Please.
I mean, you're at a point where you can do this. It'll get hated on for one day, and nobody will think twice about it.
But here's the point, though. Can we stop saying that, oh, man, Chick-fil-A's goated, bro?
Money.
I'm telling you, Chick-fil-A's overrated, number one. I don't know what's more overrated, Seinfeld, the TV show, or Chick-fil-A. I don't know what's more overrated, In-N-Out Burgers or Chick-fil-A French fries. I know I don't eat either one of them. And my point is, I think you have far better options than Chick-fil-A.
You do. And Chick-fil-A gets this rap as like a healthier spot, and it's really not.
It's not healthier.
Yeah.
Your go-to chicken sandwich for fast food-ish. Shake Shack or Super Chicks?
Super Chicks. Yeah.
Super Chicks
all day. I Super Chicks has Shake Shack beaten, I think. I mean, it's more expensive, no question about it.
Crinkle cut fries at Shake Shack, dude.
They're good. They're really good, but I'll take the shake at
Super Chicks custard is way better.
Their custard's bomb.
Yeah.
I love the fact, like, the thing that Super Chicks has is they've got like the custom sandwiches too. Like the barbecue one they do, or the Parmesan, or like the teriyaki one they do. Like, there's so many they do that are bomb.
Don't say it.
The cordon bleu. Oh, that's right. The best one on the menu, the Bacavo.
Don't fuck.
Dude, I'm not dumb for that,
Couldn't lay off.
I'm not dumb for that.
Couldn't do it. Couldn't do it.
Bacavo.
Couldn't do it. GFC Cougs, only like 3 or 4 companies supply chicken. That's the problem. Well, the bigger problem is that you have a chicken industry who, when I'm free range my chickens, dude.
That's a requirement.
It's like a 3-foot box on the ground where there's no other chickens, and they say that's free ranging. It's not. It's not. And you don't get the yield from non-GMO, like, healthy chickens that actually,
normal
can
chickens.
walk around and eat normal food and eat off the land. Those don't grow to the size of antibiotic steroided chickens. So you get a smaller output, a smaller breast, smaller thighs, smaller wings. That's the
Smaller
real
flats.
issue. UW fan. See, you say shit like that. Chick-fil-A, quote, you can taste the hate in every bite. I don't disagree. Dave's hot chicken better than Super Chicks. Well, I mean, we all have our flaws, Dakota. You have many. Anyway, Little Chizzy, Dave's Hot Chicken is the best. It lies. Seinfeld overrated. Check yourself. Fat Jesus. Seinfeld is overrated.
It is, dude.
Seinfeld's overrated. Good show. Overrated. Friends. Good show. Overrated. 100%. Steve Walgamot Jr. I think Monty is my dad. I hate what he hates too. See? There we go. That's what I'm talking about. District Taco is my favorite. Never heard of it. Never heard of it. Which is fine. Sir Bob Lob. Monty doesn't want to be a pirate. I don't.
Okay.
Yeah. I am not at all a Chick-fil-A guy. Not at all. I am an advocates guy because the advocates are the best injury attorneys in the business at theadvocates.com, where you never pay the advocates unless and until they win your case. So you never pay for consultation fees. You don't pay retainers. No. You only pay the advocates when they win your case. And the best part is you can talk to an attorney live online right now. If you got in an accident last night, a car accident, dog bites. I don't know why all these dogs are biting people. You get bitten by a dog. You didn't deserve to get bitten by that dog, but you do deserve somebody to fight for you. That's why you go to theadvocates.com. Chat with an attorney live online for free at theadvocates.com. Until tomorrow, say goodbye.
Goodbye, Jake.